Ngifuna ukuzibongela. Iphinde futhi ngizibongele njengoba ngake ngabonga eminyakeni eminingi edlule. Kunezinto ezike zehlela abantu zikulandele noma uthi uyazivika zingavikeki. Ngo-2005 ngicabanga ukuthi uma izibalo zami ngihlanganisa kahle sekuyishumi leminyaka neminyaka emithathu. Ngavela enkantolo ngibekwa lamacala engibekwa wona namhlanje. Angaze ngizwe ukuthi umuntu ubekwa icala elilodwa lichithwe liphinde libuye futhi.
Jacob Zuma, the president of South Africa, the singing president, the Casanova, one who caused an entire country to shut down and experience weeks of looting. Yes, him, the man who survived 8 no votes of no confidence, okay? And I mean the man who survived countless court cases. Well, that is until Ramaphosa actually got him. And yeah, I did actually get him. The one and only Jacob Zuma. Okay, so to start the video, we're basically just going to jump straight into it and really focus on Jacob Zuma's political life rather than his personal life. Okay, so now Jacob Zuma joined the political space at a very young age. I mean, he joined the ANC in 1959, and this was in his early 20s, and subsequently he became an active member of Mkhonto season. So this was in 1962, 2 years after the ANC was banned, and that year was the very same year where he was also arrested with 45 other recruits near Zeerust in the Western Transvaal. And he was subsequently convicted of conspiring to overthrow the apartheid government and was sentenced to 10 straight years of imprisonment, which he served along the likes of Nelson Mandela and Robben Island and other notable ANC leaders who were imprisoned during that time. Now, after his release from Robben Island, Zuma actually re-established ANC underground structures in the Natal. He left South Africa in 1975 and was initially based in Swaziland, where he actually met the man who was going to be our second democratically elected president, Thabo in Mozambique. In Mozambique, that is where he dealt with the arrival of thousands of exiles seeking military training in the wake of the 1976 Soweto uprising. He became a full member of the ANC National Executive Committee and a member of the ANC's Political Military Council when it was formed in 1983. He was also Deputy Chief Representative of the ANC in Mozambique, a post he occupied until the signing of the Nkomati Accord between the Mozambican and the South African government in 1984. After the accord was signed, he was appointed as ANC's Chief Representative in Mozambique. In December 1986, the South African government requested that the Mozambican authorities expel 6 senior members of the ANC, including Zuma. He was forced to leave Mozambique in January 1987, so he moved to the ANC headquarters in Lusaka, Zambia, where he was appointed head of the ANC's underground structures and shortly afterwards was named Chief of Intelligence Department. Okay, so after the ANC was unbanned in February 1990, when the apartheid government had actually realized that, hey, maybe they were not really going to win this war, so they might as well just give in and sort of like try and find a way to sort of like negotiate their way out of the situation, which is what eventually happened. Okay, so Zuma returned to South Africa on the 21st of March of the very same year, which is 1990, to begin the negotiation processes. He was one of the first ANC leaders to return to South Africa for negotiations. Later that year, he was elected unopposed as the ANC's Southern Natal chairperson. Zuma, as a Zulu, became known as a leading peace broker in the Natal during the political violence of this period that was concentrated in that province and arose largely from conflicts between the nationalist supporters of the then Xhosa-dominated ANC and supporters of the Zulu nationalists Inkatha Freedom Party. Definitely more on this subject on a different video, but we're actually going to dive deep into how exactly this worked out. Anyways, back to our main topic. Zuma was also credited for having expanded the ANC Zulu support base in Natal. At the ANC's July 1991 elective conference, Zuma stood for the post of ANC Secretary General and lost, surprise, surprise, to Cyril Ramaphosa, but was elected Deputy Secretary General, comfortably beating Alfred Nzo and Bobo Molefe. In the 1994 general election, South Africa's first democratic election, Zuma stood as the ANC's candidate for the premiership of his newly constituted home province, KwaZulu-Natal. As we all know, the ANC rose to power in the election, with Mandela being elected president and Mbeki his deputy, but of course lost KwaZulu-Natal to the IFP. Zuma became a member of the Executive Council for Economic Affairs and Tourism in KwaZulu-Natal. In December 1994, he was elected ANC provincial chairperson for KwaZulu-Natal, and at the ANC's 1994 elective conference, he was elected national chairperson, beating Paulo Jordan and Jeff Gadel by a large margin. He held both positions until 1997, having been re-elected provincial chairperson in 1996. Zuma was elected Deputy President of the ANC at the party's 50th National Conference in Mafikeng in December 1997 and was subsequently appointed Deputy President of South Africa in June 1999 as per culture. In late 2002, the National Prosecuting Authority announced that Zuma was one of the several ANC politicians under investigations by the Scorpions for the corruption related to the 30 billion rands arms deal, a major defense procurement package which the government had signed months after Zuma's appointment to the deputy presidency. In August 2003, however, National Director of Public Prosecutions, Ulani, husband of Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka, who happened to replace Jacob Zuma as deputy president of the country, told the media that the NPA had a prima facie case of corruption against Jacob Zuma, but had decided not to prosecute on the basis that the case was unlikely to be won. A highly public spat ensued between Zuma allies and Ngcuka, who was accused by Mo Sheikh and Mark Maharaj of having been an apartheid spy, an accusation later dismissed by the specifically appointed Heifer Commission. Mbeki and Zuma were both re-elected in the 2004 general election, but on 14 June 2005, Mbeki removed Zuma from his post as deputy president following the conviction of Zuma's associate, Shabil Sheikh, for making underhanded payments to Zuma in relation to the arms deal. Mbeki told a joint sitting in Parliament that in the interest of the Honourable Deputy President, the government of our young democratic system and our country, it would be best to release the Honourable Jacob Zuma from his responsibilities. Zuma also resigned as a member of Parliament. His successor for Deputy President of South Africa, as alluded earlier on, was none other than Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka, yes, Ngcuka's wife. Mlambo-Ngcuka had been a Minister of Minerals and Energy since 1999, so she had been in government for quite a while. Okay, so basically after being fired from being deputy president and actually having to resign as a member of parliament, the NPA announced its intentions to instate formal corruption charges against him. He was served with the provisional indictment on the fraud and corruption charges in November 2005, which was basically like a carbon copy of the indictment earlier served to Shabil Sheikh. However, the NPA was unprepared to serve the final indictment and filed an application for postponement. On 20 September 2006, the Pietermaritzburg High Court dismissed the application, and when the NPA indicated it was not prepared to proceed with the trial, the matter was stricken off. And up came the sexual assault charges. In December 2005, Zuma was charged with sexually assaulting a 31-year-old woman known to the public by the pseudonym Kwezi. The incident allegedly occurred on 2 November 2005 at Zuma's home in the forest town in Johannesburg. When the trial began on 6 March 2006, Zuma pleaded not guilty, claiming that he and Kwezi had consensual sex. He was acquitted on 8 May 2006 following a highly publicized trial. On 18 December 2007, at the NC's 52nd National Conference in Polokwane, Zuma was elected NC president, beating Mbeki with 2,329 votes to 1,505. And just over a week after the Polokwane conference, the NPA reinstated charges against Zuma and served him an indictment to stand trial on 12 fraud charges, 2 corruption charges, and 1 charge each of racketeering and money laundering. According to the constitution, he would have been rendered ineligible for the national presidency had he been convicted and sentenced to imprisonment. However, on 12 September 2008, the charges were declared unlawful on a technicality. The presiding judge also expressed a belief that the charges had been a result of a political conspiracy against Zuma. In January 2009, the Supreme Court of Appeal found that the charges against Zuma were not unlawful, contrary to the ruling of the lower court. However, the NPA formally withdrew the charges in the same week that Zuma was inaugurated as national president, citing apparent evidence of prosecutorial misconduct in the so-called spy tapes. More trouble kept following Zuma as he continued serving as the president of the NC and of the country. Zuma began his second term of president amid ongoing controversy over what were officially security upgrades made with the state funds to his private homestead in Nkandla. Public prosecutor Thuli Madonsela investigated, and in late November 2013, her draft report was leaked to the Mail and Garden. Similar to the final version of the report, the draft found that some of the Nkandla upgrades exceeded Zuma's security needs and recommended that Zuma should repay the state. The opposition, in particular the Economic Freedom Fighters and the DA, applied for legal recourse to compel Zuma to follow the recommendations of Madonsela's report, and the Constitutional Court found in their favor on the 31st of March 2016. As a result, Zuma was required to repay the state for some of the Nkandla upgrades, and that Zuma had failed to uphold the country's constitution. In a public address on the 1st of April, Zuma welcomed the judgment and apologized to the country. The court's findings that Zuma had failed to uphold the constitution subsequently provided the basis of an impeachment motion in parliament, which was sponsored by the DA and defeated by a significant margin. Before this particular ruling, Zuma had faced and defeated 5 motions of no confidence in parliament, 3 of which went to a vote. Following the ruling and failed impeachment motion, he faced 3 more in November 2016. Zuma's close and allegedly corrupt relationship with the Gupta family, known NC donors, became a major source of discontent both within the ANC and among the South African public. This relationship received widespread public attention from April 2013 when the media reported that the Guptas had landed in Waterkloof Air Force Base without formal authorization, but was welcomed by the police escort. In mid-March 2016, Madonsela launched an investigation into the state capture, resulting in a report entitled State of Capture in November 2017. The report found prima facie evidence implicating Zuma and other state officials in various improprieties, including improper relationships with the Gupta family. It was also recommended that Zuma should appoint a full commission of inquiry into state capture. Zuma applied to have Madonsela's report overturned in a high court, which dismissed his application and ordered him to appoint a commission. In January 2018, just over a month before he resigned, he established the Zondo Commission. On 16 March 2018, a month after Zuma resigned, boom, the NPA announced that he would again face prosecution on the same 16 criminal charges he was indicted on in 2006. 12 charges of fraud, 2 corruption charges, and 1 of each of racketeering and money laundering, all related to the 1999 arms deal and Zuma's relationship with Chapel Sheikh. The case was enrolled in the Pietermaritzburg High Court, and Zuma pleaded not guilty when the trial began on 26 May 2021. As of October 2022, the trial was scheduled to resume in late January 2023. At the instruction of the Public Protector and the High Court, in January 2018, Zuma established the Zondo Commission to investigate fraud, corruption, state capture, in the public sector in South Africa. Zuma was scheduled to testify before the commission for 5 days in mid-July 2019. In early December, the commission issued summons for Zuma to appear before it in the weeks of 18 January and 15 February 2021 and applied to the Constitutional Court for an order compelling Zuma to comply with the summons, which was granted on 28 January. When Zuma did not comply with the February summons, in an open defiance of the court, the commission approached the Constitutional Court and asked it to sentence Zuma to 2 years imprisonment for contempt of court. Zuma refused to participate in the contempt proceedings, although he complained of bias. And on 29 June 2021, he was sentenced to 15 months imprisonment. Zuma was given until 4 July to hand himself in, after which the police would have until 7 July to arrest him forcibly. On 7 July, with the deadline nearing and an outstanding court application by Zuma to hold the arrest, it was unclear whether the South African Police Service planned to arrest him. 40 minutes before the midnight deadline, Zuma handed himself over and was taken to the Eskom Correctional Center. On 9 July, the Pietermaritzburg High Court dismissed Zuma's application to have the arrest overturned, citing lack of evidence for medical grounds raised by Zuma. There was a severe outbreak of civil unrest in KwaZulu-Natal on the same day linked to Zuma's detention. Subsequently, Zuma was released from prison in a very dodgy manner that involved the likes of Arthur Fraser and other powerful political figures. But in a nutshell, he was released and he went back home without finishing his sentence. In December 2003, Zuma announced that while planning to remain a lifelong member of the ANC, he would not be campaigning for the ANC in the 2024 South African general elections and would instead be voting for a newly formed party, Umkhonto weSizwe. He stated that I cannot and will not campaign for the ANC of the current President Cyril Ramaphosa, and that to do so would be a betrayal. On 29 January 2024, Zuma was suspended from the ANC for his endorsement of the MK party. The ANC approached South Africa's electoral court and contended that Zuma's registration of the MK party was unlawful, as it was a name of the ANC's military wing, and also took on the country's electoral commission for allowing its registration. Lawyers for the MK party told the court that the ANC knew about the existence of the party since its registration in September 2023, but wondered why they waited this long for Zuma to endorse it before challenging it. Judges for the electoral court then dismissed the ANC's request and found that the MK party's registration was lawful. The last stroke that sort of like broke the camel's back was when Zuma was actually banned from running in the 2024 South African general elections over his 2021 conviction and jailing for contempt of court, as the South African law does not allow convicted candidates to stand for public office. So even after the skipping and hoping and dodging, avoiding prison, all it actually took was for Zuma to actually be in contempt of the court, for him to actually be arrested, and that in a nutshell actually ruined his political ambitions going forward, because now he can no longer, well, at least in the next 5 years, he can no longer be a member of parliament, and if he is no longer a member of parliament, or if he's not a member of parliament, then he cannot be the president of the country. So basically, in a way, the third hand that has sort of like seemingly been behind all these court cases, impeachments, indictments, rape charges, seemingly won in a way that was least expected. Okay, so based on the title of the video, you can definitely deduce that yes, there is hateful energy towards Zuma, but the bigger question is from who exactly? And as you can tell from the video, actually you can tell that there is a third hand that is similarly involved in the use of the courts and the media, sort of like try and tarnish and break down and diminish the image of the man himself. But also in the same breath, you can also tell that this is a man that is deeply loved by the public. So as much as he is hated in the political space, or there are elements within the political space that really seek to bring him down, but outside that, when you step outside that, you can really see that this guy is actually loved because he has charisma and people really love him. Like a really good example, even though it's a violent one, would be the July unrest. We've never seen that being done for anyone, basically. There's been a lot of people that you would think perhaps are worth that kind of reaction if bad things were to happen to them. But it happened to Jacob Zuma. The country came to a standstill because of this man. Also, the success of the MK. But as much as eventually that amounted to nothing, but when you look at like the success it achieved in KZN, the success it achieved nationally, currently being the third biggest party in the country, sort of like is testament to the love and adulation that this man Jacob Zuma actually gets. But also at the same time, you can tell that he is the most hated president or former president in the country because so many elements, in particular the media and the courts, are being used to sort of like try and bring him down and tarnish his image. As much as they try, as much as they may, clearly there is a specific sect of the society of South Africa that is not falling for that. But anyways, you tell me what you think about the whole video. Hit me up on the comment sections. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think about the whole topic. Do you feel like the man is really hated? Do you feel like perhaps there's a third hand that's involved in all this hate? Or generally, this is just one of those typical African corrupt leaders who just want to take for themselves and leave nothing for the rest of us as a country? Hit me up on the comment sections, hit the like button, and please don't forget to subscribe. It's the lowdown. Check you on the next one.